I gave away my son's birthday gift and I have never felt more proud. My son Jake just turned 12 and had one wish. He wanted the newest iPhone. For months, he talked about it every single day. Money was tight, but I worked extra shifts and finally saved enough. When his birthday came, I handed him the box. He ripped off the wrap and smiled for about 3 seconds before saying it was the wrong one. He called it useless because it was not the Pro Max. My heart hurt. I had tried so hard he barely said thank you. That night I sat awake thinking about how much that reaction said about what we value. The next morning I went to the store to return it. Standing in the line, I heard a girl behind me quietly talking to her little brother. She told him she was sorry she could not get him a phone because their mom was sick in the hospital and she had too few hours at work. The boy smiled and said it was okay and that he could use the school computers instead. I turned around and noticed the girl wearing scrubs and looking so tired. The boy's shoes had holes and still he was smiling. They were so kind to each other, even with nothing. I looked down at the phone box in my hands and suddenly it felt wrong to take it back for a refund. I stepped out of the line and walked to them. I asked if it was the boy's birthday, and the girl said yes, it had been yesterday. I told her I had gotten a phone for my son, but it was not right for him, and the store would only let me return it. I said I would like to give it to her brother instead. They both looked confused. The boy said, "No, sir, we can't take that, it is too much." I said it would not cost me anything because I was going to return it anyway, and it would make me happy if they accepted it. The girl's eyes filled with tears. She said she could not pay me and I told her I was not asking for money. I said it could just be a gift because every kid deserves something nice on their birthday. She hugged me so tight I thought she might not let go. The boy held the box like it was made of glass. I walked back to my car and I could feel tears in my own eyes. On the drive home, I called Jake. I told him I returned the phone and we would talk about gratitude later. He started to argue, but I just said we would talk when I got there. When I looked back through the window, I saw the girl and her brother on a bench outside the store. They were setting up the phone together and laughing. The boy looked happier than I had ever seen my son look. That moment stayed with me. When I got home, Jake asked where the phone was. I told him I gave it to someone who needed it more. He was quiet, which was rare. We sat down and talked about how being thankful matters more than having the newest thing. He did not say much that night, but the next morning he hugged me before school. That was new. I think he understood once it sank in. Days later, he came to me with his old tablet saying maybe we could give it to someone who needs it. That simple act meant more than any gift. It felt like he learned something real about kindness. I realized that sometimes the best lesson does not come from words, but from what we choose to do. I never got my money back, but I got something better. Now every time I see a kid smiling with a small gift, I think about that moment in the store. It showed me how a single act of giving can turn disappointment into hope. I used to think birthdays were about the biggest present. Now I know the best gifts are the ones that make other people smile. That day, I did not just return a phone, I returned a piece of joy to someone who needed it most.